Today is Thursday, September 15th, 2022. The time now is 12:50 p.m. It's a lovely day today. I'm following up with the global news as Ryan Roca and Isaac Callan. I have a number here for Isaac that I'm going to call at 647-561-4879. Six four seven 561 4879. Oops, that's a little. Let's see.
Hello?
Good afternoon. Is this Isaac?
Yes, speaking.
Hi, Isaac. This is Renée calling. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good. Have you received my emails?
Which email is that?
So you're copied in the emails to Ryan Roca with regards to the elections. I'm a mayoral candidate, and I was sent information that I responded to, but you guys have done nothing with it, so I'm following up.
I just have one forwarded now. It's from my city at Toronto Mail.
Yes.
This is the first email I've got from you.
So if you see in the email thread, you've been copied previously.
Is it all from this email address, or is it from a different email address previously? Because I can search my inbox.
Sorry, I missed your words.
Is it all from? Have you sent it all from my city at torontomail.com?
Yes.
Every time. Okay, let me check for it then. Okay, I have a quarantined email from Monday, which was filtered out by the spam. So, let me release that.
So it was quarantined. Why would that be? If you got this one, why was the other quarantined?
I don't know. It says, there's one message in your quarantine folder that's been marked as spam. If you feel this message was misclarified, please click on the release link. Mm-hmm. It doesn't say why.
Oh, okay.
The reason it says is just spam. That's the only reason it's put there.
Mm-hmm.
Let me release that. Report is not spam. Release.
And in the meantime, while you're doing that, what is Ryan's number?
I don't have Ryan's number to hand, to be honest, but I can pass him yours if you want me to.
You don't have a way to contact Ryan? I don't understand. It seems like you guys are working on this together. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're both gathering the responses together. I can contact Ryan through Teams. I don't have his cell number to hand, though. I'd have to go and find it.
Oh.
So it's easier for me to give him yours.
Sure, but my number's not for publication or for your files.
Yeah. That's fine.
Right. So, sorry, you said you have to look for Ryan's number?
What do you need Ryan's number for?
I want to speak with him as well.
What for, sorry?
I just said I want to speak with him as well.
But what's the topic, just so I can
following up on the emails.
Okay, I can handle that, because we're both working on that together, so I can just handle that instead of Ryan, I think.
Oh, okay.
Rather than doubling up.
Sure, just because the initial email came from him, and you were copied, so I thought I'd follow up with both of you.
Yeah, no, I can just handle that for both of us, because it's my byline on the story as well. Ryan was just helping while I was off that day.
Oh, okay. So you're the one doing this for Toronto?
Yes.
Okay, I understand. And I'm sorry, what was Ryan's role then? Because he's the one that initiated the email.
So Ryan and I, we all work on the Toronto online team. We work different shifts. I'm not working just now, for example. I don't work on Thursdays and I want to get the emails out. Because basically I sent an initial list of questions to all the candidates about 10 days before the nominations closed, so that we could have a story up when nominations closed. And then several other people either had their papers qualified or added contact details on the day or after nominations closed, and I was off that day. So Ryan just copied out the email and sent it to those people and CC'd me just so that we could get it out as soon as possible, so everyone would have as much of a runway as possible, because the idea really of this piece is just so that, you know, we're aware there's a lot of incumbency advantage and name recognition advantage in the mayoral race. And so I want to have a piece out there so that if people Google who the candidates are, they just get a sort of, in their own words, kind of overview briefly of just a few key policies and kind of who they are. And so Ryan just sent that out for me so that it would go out sooner than if I sent it out on the Saturday when I logged in.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Okay, so now that you have it, when will it be posted?
It'll be Saturday I'll get to it, because I'm off today and tomorrow, but Saturday I'll add your information into the story.
Well, thank you for answering the line on your day off. I hope you're enjoying it. You can see in my email that I indicate that I don't want my words re-narrated, and I don't want them edited. Have you had an opportunity to look at the email?
I haven't. How do you mean by edited?
I mean exactly that. I noticed that sometimes the experience has been where things are taken out of context, and things are taken out of context when you don't include the questions that were posed. It seems as if a conversation was had with an individual and they literally were focused on those topics. Because you asked the questions, I think it's important to include that context so people are aware what is the context that this is coming in. And so my answers are given thoroughly and in a fulsome way so that people can be clear on my position. But when you edit what a candidate says, it takes it out of context in a complete way that re-narrates their response. And I'm not the person that...
push back here a little bit. Because
wait, I'm just going to finish my thought. I'm just going to finish my thought. And I'm not the candidate that allows my words to be re-narrated, because it oftentimes comes across not in the way that I presented it. Sorry, now what did you want to say?
Right, so it's an article, as in a story written by me, so I can't just replicate everything you said word for word. There's an understanding when my byline is at the top that it's my words, and if something is in quote marks, the candidate has said it, but if it's not, it's either a summary or an introduction written by me. So it's not editing anyone's response, it's just writing a story. So I can't, for example, publish word for word, because it's not a Q&A, that online story. It's an introduction to the candidates.
Just for clarity, it seemed like it was a Q&A because you sent questions. That's what a Q&A is. You send questions, the person's answering it. So that's exactly what it was.
That's also what an interview is.
I'm sorry?
That's also what an interview is. Nowhere in the email does it say that we'll publish all of your answers in their entirety.
And it doesn't say otherwise. So what I'm trying to say, Callan, is whether someone else has asked for, I'm sorry, Isaac, I apologize. Whether someone else has asked for what I'm asking for, it's a moot point. I'm saying this is what I asked for. This is my way of participating with your questions, and that's what I'm asking for. Every person has a right to use their voice in the way that they want it to be used. And for me, it's very important that my words are not in any way re-narrated or taken out of context or misrepresented. And so if you're going to be unique with my responses, then that's what it's going to have to be, because it's very important. I'm finding a lackadaisical approach, and I appreciate that you're telling me that you guys are interested in making sure that all candidates get heard. But I'm experiencing or observing a lackadaisical reporting from journalists during this election. And I have my own thoughts and reasons why that may be, but notwithstanding, when someone asks me a question, I want my fulsome answers to be presented. I take this very seriously. We have many people who are not thriving in the city, many people who are feeling excluded, many people who are not engaged within politics because of the patterns that have continually perpetuated politics and media as it relates to elections. I'm trying to get people engaged in an election, not further discouraged. So again, whether someone else does what I'm doing and saying, hey, I want my words to be exactly as I have taken the time to respond, that's on them. But I'm telling you that that is my request in order to ensure that my participation is as I expect it to be in regards to your responses.
But are you effectively asking me then just to copy and paste and replicate the email you send me in its entirety within the story? Or are you just saying,
if you want to add...
you say a sentence that says, I believe that we don't have enough houses in the city, you want me just to publish the entire sentence from beginning to end? Because I can do that rather than saying, I believe, close quote, there aren't enough houses in the city. That's fine, but I can't cut and paste your entire response into the story.
Why not?
Because it's a story where it's been written and there are interview questions that are included and it has a narrative flow and it's trying to give everyone an idea. It's not just a platform to replicate word for word what every candidate has said. That would be a different
I'm sorry, I might have been confused. I didn't hear an answer to the why not.
Well, why not? Because it's a journalistic story with my name on it. The journalist plays a role between the person in the interview and the public in bringing them that information. We're not just a messaging board where you just post your thoughts in their entirety unfiltered. That's why not.
Well, respectfully, your email kind of suggests that. And or at least the email I received, it wasn't from you, as you said. But the email that I received that I quote in the response is that it says, I'm reaching out to Toronto mayoral candidates with a short questionnaire to help inform our reporting on the position of candidates during the mayoral race over the couple of months. We have launched an online story outlining the runners and riders in the race and will use I guess there was an error in the typing, your answers to increase your profile in this story. We will add more information under your name when we receive a response. So for me, I've given my responses and I'm saying I'm not wanting you to interpret me. That's what I'm saying. I'm very clear when I speak and I want what I've conveyed to come across as clearly as I've indicated. You said you can put in my full statement and that's what I'm wanting.
I'm saying that I can put in full sentences. I'm not saying I can put in the entire Q&A as written because that's not what we're doing. And the email, to be fair, says a short questionnaire to help inform our reporting. Our reporting is what we're dealing with here. It doesn't say a short questionnaire that will be replicated in its entirety. It doesn't say we're posting a Q&A with every candidate online. It says to inform our reporting.
Okay, but what I'm saying to you very specifically is that that's what I'm asking for. And moreover, I'm not sure why you wouldn't want to include your questions. I'm saying include them. I don't like the fact that when you read something, it's taken out of context as if this is the only thing that that person was speaking about. You ask direct questions to which you've received direct answers. And that's what I want the public to understand about your reporting, about how it is that you've come to ask these questions or why it is that you come to ask these questions or why it is that I'm actually giving these answers. So that's what I'm asking for. And in addition to that, it doesn't limit your reporting. If you want to add flowers, if you want to add trees, if you want to add rabbits, please feel free to do so. But that will be your choice to add something in addition to what I have put out there. But I'm not wanting my words to be re-narrated or edited in any way because it oftentimes is taken out of context and the message that I'm actually sending is not sent out correctly and accurately.
I suppose the key question I'm still not totally clear on is when you say not re-narrated or not rewritten or edited anyway, are you talking about replicating everything you've said in its entirety or just keeping full sentences in quote marks?
It sounds to me to be the same thing. I don't understand the difference of what you're asking.
The difference is I'm writing, essentially, it's a short profile each candidate, so different areas of the city, and they're talking about crime, I say that this is the solution, verse, and there is a narrative flow to that, and when you say that, the solution to violent crime is more upstream policing, then your upstream policing answer can be in its quote marks. That's how it is for all the other candidates anyway. Or are you asking me to replicate how would you deal with violent crime in the city, and then everything you've said underneath?
Yeah, the latter part for sure is what I'm saying. I'm saying I want my words to be exactly as I've included my responses because they are my responses. and I want the questions to be attached so it's not taken out of context. Oftentimes when journalists ask a question, it appears as if, and so you could ask some random airy question that doesn't make sense, and a person is going to respond to that, but then it appears as if somebody is talking about airy things. I'm saying I want it to be clear to the reader when reading your article in relation to me of what was asked of me and what my response was. That is exactly what I'm asking for.
So the story says at the moment, at the top in bold, Global News sent a series of questions to candidates who listed contact details on the City of Toronto's website before nominations closed. This story will be updated as candidates announce more details to their platforms, backgrounds, and campaigns. So it's clear to the reader how this story has come about from the very top of the story. But maybe this is a more philosophical conversation about journalism, but what you're asking for is not journalism. What you're asking for is an unfiltered platform, which is not really what I could provide and not what I've provided to any other candidates. So I cannot publish any of your responses if that's what you want, but I can't publish them all with the questions in a Q&A format, because that's not what we're doing.
So just let me ask you a question, seeing that you're on a philosophical topic. How long have you been a journalist for?
The last 5 years.
Okay. So in those 5 years and previous to that in your education, you would learn in journalism that integrity is everything. It's the most important thing in reporting. And the questions were never included in the statement that you just said. You said a series of questions. Well, they're not included. So the public doesn't know what those series of questions are. So usually in a reporting, you have me on feedback. I don't know why. Is there a reason why it's on feedback?
I don't know. I can just hear you once.
Okay, well, I'm echoing. Okay, it stopped now, so that's fine. But in your reporting, I'm asking for this because it's not clear from what you have posted online. Those questions are being asked. You just get random sentences that seem to be out of context. But because if the people that you're interviewing have answered the same questions that I was asked, I know in the background what you may have asked them, if in fact you've sent the same questions to everyone. But the person reading it, the person reading it doesn't. And I am saying yes, as a philosophical position, but also as a mandatory position of telling the truth in reporting, not creating false narratives or not.
Slow down.
Not leading, I'm not going too quick. Let me just finish the statement. Not leading in particular ways, not recreating. Let the answers be fulsome. So yes, that is what I'm asking for, because my expectation in journalism is what most of the public expects. We want the facts, we want the truth, and we want it to be in context, not out of context. If you ever read any of my thread, and I've added you as on Twitter, so you're free to access my information. But literally, if you read my historical tweets, you will see some of the complaints we've made with journalists with taking things out of context. And it's fundamental that this error repeats itself over and over again. And this is why I'm following up, because I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. They haven't posted my information. I didn't receive your email before the close of nominations, obviously, because I applied on the last day of nomination. So I received your email after the fact, right? So when I got that email, I read it and I wanted to understand it. And then I wrote it all out, including all the references that you can find to support my response. So when I'm saying something, I say it in a fulsome way so that the person that's reviewing the information can be rightly informed as to the context and the supporting evidence for what I'm saying. I'm not finding that in journalism. It's very weak in journalism. These have been the complaints of the public and myself, and that's why I'm trying to make sure you're clear on my position as a candidate in this election that I actually want the public to be engaged. And thank you reporting doesn't engage people, it discourages them. So
there's a few points. One of them is that integrity, we're talking about two different things. The other thing is that brevity is part of engaging people.
Did you say brevity?
Yes, having processable information. There are 31 candidates in this mayoral election. And in an ideal world, everyone in the public would know everything about every candidate. That's not going to happen. Everyone should know a reasonable amount at each candidate.
Well, who determines what's reasonable? Who determines what's reasonable?
I mean, I could give you a data-driven answer in terms of engagement with a story at length, I suppose. But, I mean, in this situation, I determined for this story because my name's on it, and that's the key to integrity. The integrity isn't, you're talking about an element of transparency, perhaps, but when you say...
Sorry, I missed what you just said. Sorry, Isaac, I missed what you said. Could you just say that again?
Yes, I'm saying that in this situation, I decide what the length that is achievable for this story is because my name is at the top of it and it is my aim. That is transparent and clear that I've written it. It says the questions were asked. There's a little profile on each candidate who's come forward. And what you're describing when you talk about integrity is it's not actually journalistic integrity. You're talking about an unfiltered.
No, I actually am not.
From you, and I'm sure your answers are great, but in terms of integrity, my job is to be in the middle there between the person you interview.
No, I think there's a misnomer. There's a misnomer in our understanding of journalism, and I think mine is the accurate one because there's no such thing as filtering. Hold on, I don't think my understanding of journalism calls for filtering out people's comments. You want integrity? Integrity and journalism are supposed to go hand in hand. And so when you're telling me that the journalist gets to decide what is integrity in reporting, that's problematic. Because integrity is not...
Is Twitter integral journalism for you? Because there's no filtering there.
I don't know why you're bringing up Twitter. But the thing...
In that situation, you get to post what you want. And people get to
But we're not talking about that situation. Of course I can post whatever I want. I'm talking with you about what you're going to post or put up online in your article. And I'm saying to you what my request is for my participation. You can go ahead and tell me no, well then I'm not going to post it. But that will call into question the integrity of what you're actually doing in response to this election. And so whether someone else has asked you for that, I'm not asking you to do that comparison. I said that from the outset. I'm saying this is what I'm asking for with regards to my participation in your article. You can go ahead and add whatever else things that you want, but my words, I am saying that I want my words to be as I responded, because this is crucial in identifying my position, my policies, my plans for our city, and the overall wellness of Toronto. I am intending to change the narrative, and I'm not wanting my narrative to be re-narrated by someone who may not understand fully what I am conveying. And that's where the problem comes in, someone else translating. I don't need translators. I need to make sure our message gets out. And if that is what you state, which is actually what you state in your email, if that is the purpose, then that should be done. That's why I called you, Isaac, and I'm glad it's you that I reached. I guess it worked out in the right way because you're the person overseeing all of this. You're the overseer here. And as the overseer, I'm asking the overseer to rightly convey the message. But oftentimes overseers want to maintain themselves as overseers rather than purveyors of truth. And if that is the case, then of course that's going to be exactly what I'm speaking out against. I don't want someone being an overseer for my language. No one is my master but God. And so I don't want anybody to think that they have authority or autonomy over my words.
Listen, perhaps we have a different definition of what journalism is, and that's fine. I'll respond to you in an email so that you can see exactly, so we're completely clear. But I'm not going to replicate everything you've said with the questions just into the story. That's not how this works. I will send you a couple of options by email so you can have to think about them.
The question is why can't it work that way is the question, and that's what I haven't had an answer from you about.
I've given you about 3 answers, to be fair.
Well, tell me the 3 answers again if you think you have, because I haven't heard them, Isaac. Tell me the 3 answers.
Is that my name is on the story in terms of integrity. Doing it the way I set out to do it is really important, and not moving the goalposts when someone comes and asks for something.
Okay, before you go forward, I want to get it. Before you go forward, I want clarity on that one point that you just made. You say how you want to write it. So the question is, you're telling me that going back to what I heard you already say, which is why I wanted the clarity on your 3 answers, but I want to make sure I understand at least each of the answers, that in this answer you just said you're wanting to write it the way you want and not the way that the candidate has proposed their answers.
No, you've just changed what I said.
No, I'm asking.
I set out to write this story in a particular way with an aim so that each candidate would have a similar profile on the website so that people could see an overview of their positions in a digestible way, because people don't pay that much attention to municipal elections. That is a key part of it. And that means that people send answers of different lengths, they concentrate on different things, and so you go through and you read as the journalist and you see which elements seem like the most important for the public to know about. You go through and you take them and you include them in a story so the public can see them. Which is what I do is what any journalist does with any interview in any situation. An interview is 20 minutes long, say a TV piece is 2 minutes long. You pick out the key elements from the interview, and that is your role as a journalist, and that is what you're entrusted to do in that situation. And if that's not how you see journalism, that's okay, but that's how I see it, and that's how I've always practiced it, and it's how a lot of people practice it, because that is the role of the journalist, is to be that middle person for the public, to find things out, to shed truth, to investigate, and also to cover things that the public don't have time to pay attention to in their entirety and make them digestible, so that they can understand the information that's out there in a way that they can, because people have busy lives, and I'm lucky enough to get to do this full time, and I get to spend all the time immersing myself in it, but other people work a different job 9 to 5. They work 10 hours a day, and they need to get the information, and part of the role of the journalist is passing that information so that they can digest and understand and take it on board, instead of trying to read, for example, 31 different 30-page campaign platforms. Not everyone does that, and some people will just choose not to vote instead of doing that.
What's your second point? You said 3?
My second point is that I want to treat everyone the same, and this isn't how anyone else has suggested we do it. Several other candidates' profiles are already up there, and so I think it's not fair to anyone else to change the process halfway through. It's not fair to move the goalpost.
Sorry, just
in mid-September.
Just on this second point now, because I'm going to answer them. I'm going to address them if I choose to, accordingly. So on the second point, you're saying you didn't treat anyone differently. You actually sent out the information and people responded. This is my response. My response is accountability in integrity. And when I'm calling you, I'm reiterating the fact that this is what I have asked for in my email. I say it directly, that I don't want my words changed in any way, edited or re-narrated. So whether somebody else asked for that, that's separate, but know this fact. None of the candidates are the same. We are all individuals. And this notion of trying to lump people in as the same is problematic reporting, because we're not the same. Candidates are individuals, and they respond in different ways. This is my response. And so even in the response in itself, I want that to be captured. I am not someone who follows in line with what everybody else is doing if it doesn't benefit the collective. And the collective is our global good, our global ability to live and thrive. So I'm not following in line because what I've read so far doesn't tell me anything. As I said, it's thank you reporting. And that type of reporting is not the way in which I share information. What's your third point?
Just to clarify, I didn't say lumping all in together. I said treating the same.
That's the same meaning to me.
Yes, the other is homogeneity. They're not the same meaning. One is crucially about fairness, which is really important here.
I'm not understanding when you're talking about crucially about unfairness. If you start from a position of unfairness and treat everybody the same, it's still unfair, right? So what I'm saying to you is
treating everyone in the same way in terms of giving them the same advantages and giving them the same.
No, if you were saying
is fairness in the situation where people are running for the same position. It is.
Callan, sorry, I keep saying Callan. I don't know why. I apologize. Isaac, I've just said, if you start from a position of unfairness and treat people all equally unfair, it's still unfair, right? Whether somebody recognizes for themselves that it's an unfair position, that's on them. But I'm identifying to you that if you think that the reporting that's done so far has been fair, I'm saying to you what I have read and what I know, if in fact the same questions were given to the other candidates, then I don't think it's equitable reporting. So what I'm saying to you is that my observations tell me that I need to say these things to the author of this reporting, whoever that author is. You've identified it's you. So I'm directly telling you what I'm observing in the reporting. And I am saying, with regards to including me, this is my ask. Sorry, what's the third point?
The third point, I think, is that we may fundamentally disagree on the element of journalism. Posting things without adding context or my work to it, essentially, is a campaign brochure, and that's fine. That's one part of it. But the article's not a message board.
I never asked you to post anything. I didn't ask you to post anything without your context. I, in fact, said include your questions. That's essential. And those are your questions, right? I for sure said include it. So I never told you exclude. This third point sounds like your first point in a different way. I'm saying to you to include the questions. This is fundamental to people understanding what was asked and what is being responded to. Of course, include your questions. And as I said, if you want to add butterflies and rainbows in addition to that, outside of what I've already said, please feel free to do that. But when you're asking me for my answer and I give it to you, I want my answers to be conveyed in the way in which I presented them. I'm not wanting you to edit, re-narrate, or translate, because oftentimes the translator doesn't speak my language. You understand that?
I hear what you say, and I've not changed my position, I'm afraid. But I hear what you say, and it's always interesting to have these conversations, but I'm not changing my position. Sorry.
And that is the problem with historical, what I say, white supremacist reporting. It's indoctrinated in journalism to speak in robotic ways or to have mindsets that are not inclusive. And so when I speak about something, I am coming from a lens that is used globally. So if you want to tell me that this is journalism to exclude your questions, to re-narrate someone's answer, we obviously disagree. And we can pull up many reports where the fulsome answer is given and received by the public. You don't get the right to tell the public, this is what you need. No, that's not journalism. What is also important to respect the public for their own autonomy. Of course, people are tired. Yes, we can say all of these things, but let them make the choice as to what they want to read, what they want to hear, what they want to dismiss, or what they want to take in. Let them have that choice. And that is what's lacking in journalism. That's what's lacking in politics, is the public feeling that they have a choice to make decisions that impact their own lives. So, you're telling me this is an interesting conversation, but these are important comments for you to take in from a world position. Not that I'm wanting to tell you what to do because you have your own life, Isaac, but the reality that I'm trying to convey is that the only way that we're ever going to grow as a society is working together, not one person dominating someone else's words, language, movement, personhood, autonomy, right? Let that control be that person's own. And whatever we can do to support that person's ability to thrive, to engage, to participate, let's do that rather than create barriers of engagement, rather than create barriers to participation, rather than maintain obstacles for autonomy and for being. That's what I'm trying to say to you. But again,
I wanted with you on all that. I just don't think we agree on implementation. Everything you've just said, I agree with. Well, I don't disagree at all, but I think we disagree on implementation.
I didn't.
That's okay.
I didn't go into gender issues with you, but I'm going to ask you if it's okay if I call you brother.
Yes, by all means.
Brother, if you say you agree with me, then you would implement what I've said. And so it can't be the contradiction that you agree with all of what I just said and not implement what I've said, because the two go hand in hand. And you know, my motto, Isaac, has long been, together we succeed. And I really believe that. I believe that we all have our parts to contribute. I believe we all have skills that are unique to ourselves and our experiences. And I believe that coming together, that we will succeed. So my motto, you can see it in all my emails, whenever I say anything. I even made a poster of it. Together we succeed. Community builds when it works together, and we succeed when we work together. So therefore, together we succeed. So I say to you again, brother, if you believed and agreed with all of that I said, then you would implement what I've asked.
But where we differ is perhaps what we mean by accessible, for example, or how we interpret that. I don't think that publishing all the answers and the questions, unless we'd said it was a Q&A, and maybe that's a separate topic. Maybe I can speak to my editor and see if we want to do a Q&A with each candidate where we do replicate the email just in its entirety so that you can get a deeper dive on each candidate. That is an interesting idea, but this story has its format, and its format for me is about accessibility. It's about finding the information as accessible on a few keys in a way that can be easily digested.
So what you've just said, Isaac, is fundamental to me. I'm an accessibility advocate, and in my work in promoting, advancing, and advocating accessibility, I include language in that because words have meaning. This is why it's very important to ensure that people are heard in the way in which they convey their message. And hearing is not a literal term here when I say this, because different people have different ways of receiving information. And I'm very in tune with many of those different ways. I may not know all of them, but I'm in tune with many of them because of who I am as an advocate and believing in advancing accessibility. And as I say, I don't change someone's response unless someone asks me to. That's a different story. If somebody asked me, but I did not receive permission to change. I'm not giving you permission to change my words. I'm in fact advocating that my words are presented exactly how I portrayed them. I want them to reflect me exactly in the way in which I should be reflected. And so in addition to being an advocate, I'm also a person with disabilities. I actually have a head injury. And having a head injury after experiencing life in a particular way that I was used to has forced me to recognize that when things don't make sense, which is why you might have heard me ask, wait, sorry, can you clarify that? It's not to patronize someone. It's literally trying to understand what they're saying, because I want to grasp with sincerity what someone is saying, and I want them to understand what I'm saying. So if I have to change the way I say something so they get it, I will. But that's because they let me know that they didn't understand. So when I'm writing what I've written, you don't know me. So to edit or re-narrate my words, you don't know what I'm trying to say if you take it out of the context that I put it in. And to presume that you have an interpretation skill that can interpret in a different way what someone is saying without asking them is a fundamental problem with regards to ableism. Ableism presumes a lot of things and makes decisions on behalf of other people without involving them. And so, very specifically, I am trying to destroy ableism in society. I want to end ableism in order to ensure engagement and participation. And as I've identified to, when questions are not included and someone reads it, it gets confusing. Well, wow, is this all that person speaks about? Or is this I wouldn't have talked about some of the things that you raise as a question because they're not a priority in my mindset to address in this moment, because it can't be addressed in this moment for what it requires. But because you ask the questions, I answer them in the way in which I need this message to be conveyed. And yeah, we're limited for a lot of things, but it's our choice how we limit ourselves, or it should be our choice how we limit ourselves. The news is not what it should be. You've heard it many times. You heard me say it in these conversations. And what I'm saying is, when I am asked something, this is how I answer, and no one can have a doubt of what I said. No one can be confused by what I said because I said it. And most people who know me, Isaac, know that I come with receipts all the time. So when the news reports something and it's not factual, it's problematic because it's not clear of the information. Again, we've tweeted about this. We've wrote in about this. We've done all of these things. And global news is, in particular, an entity that seems to continually breach certain rights and is problematic in its continuum of ableism and or profiling. And these are issues that we've raised in the past. That's separate from what we're talking about right now. But because I am...
Can I ask you a question quickly on this? Because it's a slight...
Yes, go ahead.
It might get to what we're talking about. What is your opinion of the interview? The interview is one of the sort of oldest tenets of journalism. You go back to, newspapers.
Oh, the line cut out. Ah, jeez. That's frustrating. That is frustrating. I'm going to try calling again, 647-561-4879. Hi, is this Isaac?
Yeah.
I'm sorry you've experienced what I've indicated as having Wi-Fi connection issues. This is Renée calling back. The line completely cut out. I'm calling on another line. I use VoIP, so Voice over Internet Protocol, for my calls. So they're also attached to Wi-Fi. Can you hear me okay?
I can it was breaking up. Now I can hear you. I'm sure.
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm sorry about this. This is exactly what I'm always dreading, is a connection issue while talking with someone on the phone. I indicated that I have Wi-Fi connection issues and using VoIP, so Voice over Internet Protocol is through Wi-Fi. So I had to call you back on another line because the other one completely cut out. So you were saying something and then it literally cut off, so I didn't hear you.
No, it's fine. I think we should probably wrap this up, to be honest. I'll send you a response by email. I think we're in different places on this, to be honest. But I will send you something by email by the end of the day that kind of lays it out, and you can see it written down, and to make sure there's no misunderstandings, make sure that, I've not been unclear in sort of what my parameters are. And hopefully we can work out a way to include you in the story that we're both happy with. And if not, maybe we can look at doing Q&As with all the candidates and publishing them. I don't know. But we'll do my best, okay?
So you said the end of the day you'll be sending me an email.
Yes.
Okay, Isaac, it was nice to speak with you, and I wish you all the best.
Good luck with your game.
I'm sorry, you broke up. What was that?
You too. Good luck with your campaign.
Oh, and just to let you know, I always publish online. If something is disjointed, I always publish it online. So I'll wait for your email. I already know what you said because you've said it to me on the phone. But I'll allow you that opportunity to provide your email, and then I'll post all that I need to if I need to.
What are you posting online?
I post everything online. So if you look at the history of what I post, you can look that up and see. But I'll let you send me an email, and I'll wait till Saturday to see what you post. And then if it's like I said, disjointed from what I've stated, then I'll post my perspective online.
Yeah, sure, of course, you're right.
Yeah, no, I'm not asking for.
You're right.
I'm not asking for permission. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, well, love you, appreciate it. I've put nearly an hour into this on my day off. I'm not dismissing this. I've tried really hard here.
Okay, well, be well, Isaac, and have a great next 2 days off.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye now.